Hi, what we're going to do in this lesson is take a look at playing a standard blues progression. We're going to be in the key of B flat. We're going to be centered around the 6th fret. We're going to take this progression, play kind of a standard progression, and then we're going to add some things to it to give it more of a jazz sound, more of a jazz feel. The chords we're going to be using are dominant 7th chords, both with 6th string root and 5th string root. We're going to be using minor 7th chords, same idea, 6th string root and 5th string root minor 7th chords. It's also going to be helpful if you are familiar with the concept of, for instance, in a blues, consists of what's called the 1 chord to the 4 chord in the progression, back to the 1, up to the 5, in this case back to the 4, back to the 1, we end on the 5. We're going to be playing a regular rhythm, accenting the 2nd and the 4th beats a little bit for kind of a bluesy feel. There's a lot of different ways to play the blues. There's this kind of thing. We're going to be using more of a chordal approach, playing kind of chord shapes up here. So I'm going to play through it now, just a regular blues, and then we're going to add some things to it. So. So that was a pretty standard progression. I was using 7th chords. For the 4 and the 5 chord, I was using 9th chords or 7th chords. They're interchangeable. They're both dominant chords. Now we're going to add a little bit to the progression and to give it more of a jazz flavor. I go right to the 4 chord, it's called a quick change. Then when I go back to the 4 chord, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do what's called a 2-5 approach. I'm going to play an F minor 7, B flat 7, which is going to lead me to that 4 chord, which in this case is E flat 7 or E flat 9. So we've got this. Quick change. 2, 5, back to the 4 chord, back to the 1, then up to the 5. Turn around by going to the 5 chord. So the only changes we made there, we did a quick change and then we did a 2-5, which led us to the 4 chord. Another way we can approach this, I'll play that same way that I just did, but I'm going to add some other things and explain that too. So here's what we did. Quick change, back to the 1, 2, 5, back to the 4, Now that time what I did when I came back from the 4 chord the second time, I went up to a C minor 7, D minor 7, to a G7 chord. So then I went back to the C minor 7. I hope I said minor 7 when I was referring to the C and the D, because C minor 7 to D minor 7 go into the G7 chord. So we went from the 1 chord to the, in this case it's a 2 minor chord, C minor 7, D minor 7, G7, back to the C minor 7. Then we were at our 5 chord, which is an F7, stay on the 1, turn around by just going back to that 7th chord. I'll play through that progression. Quick change. 2, 5, bracket the 4. Then C minor 7, D minor 7, G7, C minor 7, F7. Stay on the 1. Turn around with the to the F7. I'm going to do that progression again, but I'm going to add something else this time. We're going to add a little bit more to the turnaround. So here we go. Quick change. 2, 5, leading to the 4 chord. C minor 7, E minor 7, G7, C minor 7, F7. That time is when I got to the end for the turnaround, instead of just staying on the 1 and turning around, hitting the 5 chord, I went. Those are all the same chord shape. They're all dominant 7th chords. I just went up to the D flat 7, C7, B7, and it took us back to the 1 chord, the B flat 7. So all those little techniques are going to contribute to giving more of a jazz feel. I'm not going to get into the theory behind these too much at this point, but if you become familiar with these chord shapes and moving these through these patterns, it's really going to help your playing and open up a lot of different ideas that you can use when you're playing the blues. It's also fun to solo over these progressions. There's a lot more going on. So I hope this lesson was helpful. Thanks very much.